We are live in the Domino group. Excellent.
Right.
Greetings.
Hello.
Salutations. Namaste. Cool. So we're doing the next laser coaching session. I've got Will. Hi, Will.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm all good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, very good. Loving the hat.
Thank you. It's just become habit at this point. And now I'm actually warm. You know, I don't have to put the heating on, and yet it remains, and the fleece remains, and eventually I will shed these layers. We'll get
Not
there.
on this call.
Not on this. Well,
Just steady. So it's not that kind of call. This is a laser coaching session. So cool. So right, so with each of these sessions we go for 30 minutes. We're on a single topic. Just a reminder to the people that are watching that it's for the person listening. It's for the person in your chair, in your seat. So don't make it about Will, don't make it about someone else, make it about you. When you've watched it or watched it back, Will, then comment, share what you take from it. Because it helps you to go deeper into it. It helps other people to go deeper by hearing a different perspective on it. So engage with this. Cool. So I know that we've had a chance to sort of speak a bit in the group, but could you just give us an introduction for those people who maybe aren't fully clear yet on sort of who you are, what you do? Can you give us like the headlines of, you know, who you are and what's brought you to Project Domino?
Yes. I'm Will. The three components of the three big commitments in my life are being a session musician, being a guitar teacher, and being a coach. I this is my third domino. What initially brought me here was curiosity. It was in initial chats with yourself, Nick, and this is a reflection of your serving in those initial conversations. I realized that I was speaking to a man that knows things that 99.9% of people don't know, and that was enough to have a go at my first domino and find out more. And since then, well, putting it frankly, my life is changing quite significantly and far quicker than I thought possible in terms of creating change. And even myself saying that, creating change, knowing that it's coming from me, is a reflection of that change. And so I keep coming back because I see the impact that a group program is having, and the space that has. And particularly with this domino, I feel like I've really got how to show up as a coachable person. And as a result, this domino this year has been the most impactful. And so brilliant.
So I just want to, just before we jump into the coaching, I just want to underline that for people. Can you give people a sense of what it is that you have created through being part of this? Because you said it's been the most impactful, but obviously that's a co-creation. And like you said, because you've shown up, and I've acknowledged you in the past for this, of being so open and willing to kind of do the work and take actions and try new things. When you say it's been impactful, what is the impact, or what is the change that you have created whilst you've been involved in that process?
Hmm. Hmm. I'm going to nick something that Jeff said when we had a conversation. The first relationship is with yourself. For the first time in my life, I can openly and honestly say that I love myself. In a very, and I feel it this is difficult to put into words because this is so much to do with feeling. I feel that on a very profound level. It's not, uh, I don't know, typical self-love activities, working out, eating right, drinking enough water, treating yourself to a spa day. It goes far, far, far deeper. It's in here that I feel this, and as a result of this healthier relationship with myself, as a part of my being, my doing is changing significantly. There are people who weren't healthy for me who are, in friendship circles who I have let go of, and I'm okay with that. And another example, my thinking about selling, my thinking about what I do. Every gig, every lesson, every coaching session is a work of art, not a job to be done. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like every time I turn up to do a job, I am so conscious of all of the creativity involved with it, involved within completing a job. And that, I thought creativity, there was a point in my life where I thought creativity was songwriters. If you're a songwriter, you're creative, blah, blah, blah. And I, I don't really write songs. It's not my primary enjoyment within music. And I had this belief that I must not be as creative as other musicians. And this realization that I'm not there yet, but it's growing, that I'm constantly creating, and not just in music, across every aspect of my life. I feel deeply creative, and that again is huge. And exploring the relationship between that, my creativity, and my ability to earn an income, to grow an income, to enroll people, to bring people into a network, to create relationships with people, to create myself, which has led to what I was telling you about, looking at myself in the mirror in the gym, getting back into exercising after an injury, and not seeing problems that need fixing, but rather seeing possibility, seeing creativity, potential. How much more could I create my health? How much more could I create, my body? How much more could I create in my relationships? I'm starting to see this everywhere.
Beautiful, really beautiful to hear. And I've acknowledged you before for it, but it's really beautiful to see you taking these steps and playing with this possibility, and like you said, like seeing that creativity goes beyond just certain areas, but there's a way in which it relates to all areas, and we have this power to create finances, create relationships, create business structures, create a network, create a following, create a movement, create products in the world, releases, recordings, whatever. So thank you for, well, the gift you're giving to yourself, which is like really engaging in that process and actually doing the experiment, because many people don't. They'll be happy with just talking about it, but they won't make that kind of experimental step. So I see that I think I see that's a main reason why you're getting such quick changes, because you're really throwing yourself into the actions and playing with it. So awesome. So what would you like coaching on today?
Yes. So, yes, it relates to that sort of light bulb moment in the gym yesterday, and I wrote down an acknowledgement. So I've been keeping a self-acknowledgement form just on the table, and going whenever something pops into my mind, doing this. And I spotted a pattern. The first one of these, not the realization I had yesterday, but this was a few weeks ago, and this was a huge one. I wrote, I acknowledged myself for choosing to be brilliant. Then yesterday in the gym, I said, I acknowledged myself for choosing to see possibility rather than problems that need fixing. then yes, yesterday again when I got home, I thought of another. I acknowledged myself for choosing to take responsibility for myself and my actions, and at that point I spotted a pattern. Behind these things, there's a choice, and there's ownership of that choice, and this is uh, a new realization for me, super fresh. Literally realized this yesterday, um, and I thought, right, perfect. Got the laser coaching tomorrow. Let's go deeper into that. Let's see what that's about. So yes, I suppose the topic of choice and choosing as an option to me.
Okay. And what is it about the topic of choice and choosing as an option that has you curious? Like, why is that valuable to you to explore today?
Well, that's exciting because essentially that opens the door to yourself. I think there's a lot of conditioning. A leopard can't change its spots. I think that's the saying. I think there's a lot of conditioning that others might call it a fixed mindset rather than a growth mindset. That people don't change. You are who you are. If you throw choice into the equation, that changes everything, right? That's huge. How much more creativity lies behind the door of choice and empowerment? What could choice and choosing do for me?
And what do you think choice and choosing could do for you? What do you reckon might be lurking in there for you? Like what might be some uh, hiding possibilities that maybe haven't always looked possible until now?
It's a very good question. I'm going to go with my initial answer, although I realise it's vague and perhaps influenced by my excitement at this new realization. I would say everything, anything.
And what does that involve in terms of everything or anything? What does that involve? What is included? Before you answer, can we make an agreement that you don't feel any need to censor or explain away any of the answers that come up here? Because we're in, because if we're talking about, like, going beyond conditioning, going beyond kind of expectations of who you are, and going into deeper into the truth of what the real possibility is here, it means you're going to need to go past, or my suggestion is that it's going past what might seem reasonable or what might seem realistic. We're not having a realistic conversation or a reasonable conversation. We're having a truthful, honest look at what's the kind of thinking and the kind of feelings that come up. We're not worrying. We can worry about possibility, whether something's realistic or practical, and we can figure out practical considerations later. But we're just having a play with what might be possible here. We're exploring, right?
I love that. Yeah, thank you.
Is that okay? So can we agree
Absolutely.
to do an uncensored exploration here?
100%. In that case, firmly, I would say everything and anything. And then I believe your question was, what does that entail?
Yeah. So everything. What is that? Like, what's in there, or what's included? What are you noticing that are new possibilities? Maybe. What are some of the specifics that you're noticing? Like what could be a useful change?
I would say possibility itself, or a deeper understanding, or a deeper belief in what is possible for me. It feels like there's a liberation in choice. That Just that it's not fixed, that it's not set in stone. That's what it feels like to me.
Mm.
Hmm. And that feels like very deep inner strength to to make decisions and choose what's possible for you rather than external factors deciding what's possible for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. How deep does that strength go? How deep?
My initial response would be I don't know. I don't know yet.
Cool.
Which which I like because if there's something I don't know, there's something to explore. There's more to learn. Um, no, I don't know how deep that power goes, but I definitely know would like I would like to find out.
Right. How might you find out? So these are obviously, these aren't questions where there's a definite clear answer. These are exploration questions, right? That's why I'm asking. So I'm not expecting you to have. It's not about a word or a sentence or a kind of linguistic label. It's not so much about it. It's more about the process of. So we've uncovered something that you said you don't know. You get a sense of like strength, which is it's I get the impression there's a newness to that realization that there's strength. And I heard you say it's it's very deep, and I heard that and I thought, oh, I wonder how much depth he perceives there. Like, is this just deeper than he's used to, or is there a limit? Is it like the deep end of a swimming pool, which you can kind of swim down to the bottom, and you've got to hold your breath, and you've got to sort of have the strength and the sort of swimming technique to actually get to the bottom, but you still get to the bottom. There is a bottom,
Mm.
right? Or is it something that doesn't have a bottom? Is it something that kind of is a sort of an infinite depth? Is there always new? Is that the nature of it, that there's always more power to be unlocked and discovered? Is it
That is what it feels like. That I don't see how this would have a limit. Um, because if we're talking about the subject of choice, and I've written down three things there, and that was enough for me to spot the pattern. At number three, I was like, I've written a few things here where I acknowledge myself for choosing, and that's three things that I've chosen. Well, how much more could I choose on? How much? How well, what else in my life? How many things in my life are a choice? Are based in my decision. That's infinite. There is you will never run out of choices to be made because every day you wake up and from the smallest of choices, and where do I go to get my coffee, to the biggest of business decisions. How do I diversify and remodel my business to make it scalable? There's choice absolutely everywhere. So I don't see how it could possibly ever run out. And the more I suppose, one leans into approaching these things being everyday business, personal, professional, etc. Um, the more someone leans into and comes from a place of this is my choice, the, the deeper that gets for you. What am I trying to say? The deeper your understanding of your inner power, the power of choice.
The more you live from it,
Exactly.
the more you use that power,
Mm.
the more you change the things that you would actually like to change, the more you move out of tolerating to creating. Would you say that's fair?
More than fair. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Cool. So what might be some things that you may have tolerated, and this isn't about making them wrong, by the way,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but when I say the word tolerate, sometimes it's like a kind of passive, complicit, going along with it, and not, it's kind of a symptom of not noticing that you have the choice, or you can take responsibility and act in many different ways, or make decisions, or whatever the language you use, right? So where are the places where, you don't need to go into details because I know it's in the group, but where are the places where there might be aspects of your playing, or aspects of personal life, or aspects of business, or aspects of the way that you be, or aspects of how you describe yourself, or aspects of how you see yourself, that you've been tolerating? What are some aspects that are ripe for change?
Mm, mm, mm. Let me think. I'll give an example from the session musician aspect of what I do for a living. And there was a shift in this belief, and it was a limiting belief. There was a shift in this just before starting this domino. I think I was making notes already in preparation, just checking in and seeing where I'm at. There was a belief that as session musician, I am gun for hire, and that's it. My success or failure rides on the success or failure of artist management, the artists themselves, the way they are being, the way they're running their business. And I've had situations where I've been shorted on fees, had unfair expectations placed on me, etc., and tolerated these in, well, this is my job, gun for hire, and always facing, I think, I've worked with artists, local artists, etc., that have at best, in terms of the projects that have not grown, at best they fizzled out. At worst, the artist and their way of being has actively run the project into the ground and alienated the team, etc. And I was going around thinking, oh God, I need to find an artist. I need to find a really serious artist, someone deeply committed to this, deeply, you know, deeply hungry for the level I want to perform at. And then I realised that I was that artist. And in doing so, I chose myself as that artist. I went, well, I don't need to rely on the success or failure of somebody else's project. I can still be a session musician hired in to do a job. But that in itself is an artist coming in to bring their sound, their energy, their vibe, their service. Very different mindset. And I chose that. I chose, I'm not going to put my eggs in the basket or gamble on somebody else's success. I will create this myself. And I see that now, looking back through this lens of choice, that was a choice. And as a result now, I don't. I hold my professional boundaries far stronger. I feel as though, you know, the sessions I've done, situations I've been in this year so far, Glastonbury auditions, recording situations, etc. There's my decision to choose myself and respect myself. I'm seeing that reflected in how other people are seeing me, how other people are perceiving me as a professional.
So I'm going to nudge you out a little bit deeper here. So you so far, when I said what are some of the aspects that are ripe for change,
Mm,
you told me some of the things that have changed or are changing, and I'm really curious about, like, where's that edge where it's just about into the next, just outside of what you have already achieved or changed, and what's the next sort of, what's the edge of the growth? Where's it going?
mm,
What's beyond what's beyond the known here? Because I have a sense that, you know, there's some direction here, and you know, maybe it can seem scary or unknown or intangible, or you don't have the words for it yet, but let's explore what's over at that edge. Let's see if there is an edge.
mm.
Maybe what might be next here, do you think? Where's this going? What's unfolding here? What's logical as a next step, or new possibilities, or old beliefs that maybe it's time to question, right?
Right. I think I might have been working on the edge earlier today. My finances. Now, there was, yeah, and you picked up on it straight away. There was an unexpected fear in our last one-to-one where I stated I want to break 40,000 next year. Now, I hadn't spoken that. I had not said those words. It had only been up in here. And as soon as I said it, I was like, shit, what? You know, that's, you know, it's not a fortune, but that's more than, you know, considerably more than I've ever earned. That at that point, what I am able to do in my life, and it's not all dictated by money, but there are options that would be opened at that. And I remember you asking, and I have an answer now, why is that a big number? And I believe it is because at that number, more becomes possible, more options open. Um, and I think I'm still working on believing that I can earn that and more.
Cool. So what's the choice that you can make here? Because this question started about choice.
Hmm.
And if we're at the edge, it's a choice to then, it's always kind of a metaphorical choice. Do we have free will, whatever, right? But if we're going with the choice thing,
Hmm.
where's the next choice? Where do you choose to tread next in terms of finances, or in terms of actions, or in terms of attitudes, right? What's the choice that might be available here as a
I
possibility?
can choose to make it real. I can choose.
How?
So
If you actually had to make it real, how would you actually choose and make it into a true commitment so that it becomes a reality, like a real reality?
So the thing I've been playing with and going really finding useful as a tool is the pricing Excel formulas. Um, I've been going deep into that, and reviewing pricing structure, reviewing how it would be done. The decision, the choice here is to take a stand for, to take a deep stand for my belief in my service, in what I do, to choose to serve so deeply that the impact is undeniable, that clients are created. And this is what was staring back at me working through Excel, looking at income projection, looking at numbers of students, looking at different programs, different tiers, the choice to step outside of my comfort zone, i.e. time for money model. And I remember saying this in maybe the Domino before the group call before last. I remember saying I'm scared. I'm going into completely uncharted territory here, and it's that choice to do so, to once again step into the unknown, into the out of the comfort zone, and to find growth.
That sounds like taking a stand by selling more of what you offer, your services, to me, right? Because I know there's two kind of questions that I'm sort of getting the impression that you're talking about. There's how much you charge for your services, and then there's actually selling it at that fee, right?
Yes, yeah.
Right. So the advice that I was given, because we're kind of moving into out of coaching territory and into kind of consulting territory about how to run a coaching practice or how to run a sort of service-based, same for teaching practice, same thing. So I'm going to give, because it's a bit of a shortcut, because I think this seems to be the case, that the advice I tend to give to coaches and to music teachers is like, the fee that you, the fee that's right is the fee that you can sell out at. So fill your coaching practice, fill your teaching practice at whatever the fee. Particularly, we're talking about coaching, really. So fill the coaching practice at the fee that you can sell out at. Right. So take a stand by taking a stand for coaching. This is my suggestion to you. Take a stand for I can help you with that. When you pay me however much for the sessions, however much for this package, here's what will be possible. Here's you mentioned this, your life. Let me tell you about the person that I've helped, and this is what they've done. Let me tell you, and you take a stand for the power of coaching, and you demonstrate. Well, let me tell you what I've done. I actually went to a group program not just once. I've actually been 3 times. Why would a person do that? Because I've realized that I can be more coachable. So here's my suggestion to you: sign up for another run with me. Go join another package, and you will go even deeper into this journey, and the transformation you've already experienced in the first 4 sessions, let's say, it will continue. And you take a stand by showing them what you see as possible. You talk more powerfully about it. And then when you've come from that, this is why it tends to happen in this order, that you take a stand for the work. You then, as a result of taking a stand at a price that will actually get traction with people, so make it easy for them to say yes, fill your practice so that you have to then start turning people away. Then limitation creates value. It means the people you're turning away, it's like, well, okay, I can't see you until 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 months, okay. But these places do tend to sell out. So would you like to, go on a waiting list, or would you like to book in advance? Yes, please. Okay, I'll send the invoice over. And so then you're oversubscribed. You've had someone pay you for future work. And then when someone else comes to you, you have to push them away or push them into the future. And it gets to the point where there's too much demand for supply. At which point the market tells you it's time to put your fees up. Because you've taken a stand, because you've been continuously serving, then the power of your service plus the power of the demand that's being created, the word of mouth, because they're getting such ridiculously good value because the price is low enough, especially in the early stages of running a coaching practice, the word spreads that if you go to Will, you pay him this hourly rate and you get way more than you paid for. That's the word of mouth that spreads about you. It's worth going to Will. Whatever he charges you, you'll get way more value. That's the reputation that you're creating by doing it that way around, rather than what's often told to coaches, which is charge what you're worth, even though you've only had 30 coaching sessions in your life. Theoretically, it's true, but people feel that it doesn't quite fit, and they don't. The value versus price. The difference is something doesn't work about it. It feels like they're spending too much for not enough value, or it's too similar. Like we tend to buy things when the fee is significantly lower than the value. So if they pay you, let's make it up. I don't know what your fees are currently, but let's say that they charge you charge someone £100 an hour for a coaching session. If they have the experience that actually all the insights they're going to get, all the changes in their life, it's going to be worth £200, £400, thousands of pounds over the course of their future career, because of the quality of their playing or the quality of their being, and it's going to make them money, or it's going to be worth that investment, worth 10 times the investment, let's say, then they'll pay. So my coach talks about giving a lot for a little, making sure that the service is way above the fee level. As long as you do that, you'll sell out your places, and as long as you keep selling out your places, it's easy to put your fee up, because there's the demand, and the fee becomes a filter for people. And then it becomes easier to fill group programs and easier to fill higher ticket offerings. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, all of that makes sense. It's the idea that I've got for I'm really excited to create a group program that I've told you about. 3 people. I know who I would like to approach first. They're already in my network. And yeah, it's going to be exactly that. It's going, the first one I'm going to run for free with people close to me, and it's an opportunity again to learn there, to experience that. Again, there's a choice in that. It's choosing to be a leader to people that are leaders themselves. They don't know it yet, or they might have some. I'm thinking about these people. They might have an idea, but they haven't made a choice. I'm excited to see, because I've only worked one-to-one. I've just started moving into group guitar tuition, and I'm only 2 students in one, but I'm seeing the power of having, they feed off each other, and one's been playing a bit longer than the other, and at first the others, but he plays like, it's okay, and then the other one's like, no, it's like this, it's powerful.
I'm hearing it, and it's really exciting to hear, because you're right on the cusp of having something which is scalable. Because if you learn how to sell a group anything, then the numbers of the group you can create something that works. And there are ways to structure programs and groups and webinars and all sorts of things which are scalable. But as soon as you learn the art of creating groups and making it all work, you then have a scalable component. It's not just I have to, there's a limited number of people that I can work with because I'm working on an hourly rate. It's not, because the hourly rate gets stacked on top of each other. So then it becomes, it's scalability in there, and if a business adds in like recorded components and stuff, then it's, you don't even need to spend your time doing that anymore. So there's many options, but it's an exciting point to be crossing right now, right?
It is. It really is. It feels, yeah, it is really exciting.
And you'll look back on this video and remember that this was a necessary stage for you to get to where you're actually going to go. Right. So
thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The Excel is brilliant. I've only ever used it as spreadsheet to track essentially turnover and expenses, and then
so for anyone that doesn't know, like I shared like a spreadsheet of sort of pricing projections of how to work out like hourly rates and sort of how you'd packages and stuff. So that's what we just sort of projected what it would happen if his fees were at a certain rate. So I can share that with people that if they want to.
Great. It's a great tool.
Okay, sir. So are we complete for today?
We're complete. Fantastic.
Good stuff. Is there anything you'd like to say to anybody watching this?
Yeah, huge shout out. Lovely bunch. I really wanted to say this Thursday, because I was not having a good week last week. I was getting very much in a bit of a tornado of thought, almost to the point you become lethargic when there's so much going on up there. So, I can't be bothered tonight. I just want to sit and not sit and mope, but that mood. I was I'm going to Domino. I'm going to. I make it sound like a pilgrimage, don't I? I'm going on the group call, and I'm just going to say how I've been feeling and what's been going on. Now that in the past has elicited the man up response, or the go and take a look in the mirror and decide what sort of a man you are, blah blah blah, to be met with the response from the people in this group is groundbreaking for me. It's really seeing a feeling a sense of belonging, a sense of support, and a tribe that to show up vulnerably in front of people is hard, but the response is just amazing. So yeah, just want to say a big thank you.
Awesome. Great to have you with us, and thanks for your contribution. You're really helping to create it as it is. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, buddy.
Have a good one, Nick. See you soon.
See you soon.